I'm great. How are you? Better, good. As my daughter-in-law says, well, better and better.
Very optimistic. That's the way we have to look at it.
Isn't it?
Yes.
On the right side of the purpose. That's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That has a lot of implications.
There we go. All right.
I'm getting a new kind of set of things to play my mind work. I am getting a new part and I am so excited. So I will have some dirt on the other side of the carpet too.
Literally. Yes.
I put a call through and it rang.
Yeah, I'm just getting on a conference call here.
Hi, everyone. We'll start in just a minute. I see a few more people are coming on to the virtual part of the meeting.
Not that seeing me is really not that good. This should be a short meeting. I wanted to get feedback from the executive brief on Tuesday.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our August rec meeting. Glad to see you here in person and also online. I'm going to call the meeting to order. We have a quorum and let's do introductions. We'll start in the room. So Marilyn.
Marilyn Bradish of Colorado Springs.
Bill Bowles, Park County.
Joanne Reed, Colorado Springs.
Melissa Martz with the Pikes Peak Area Agency on Aging.
Jessica Bechtel, PPACG.
All right. And online, Rosemary.
Hi there, Rosemary Hadamil, Colorado Springs Alzheimer's Association.
Thanks. Jen.
Good morning, Jen Nemo, Colorado Community Health Alliance.
And we have some visitors as well. Lauren. Now we can come back to Lauren. Erica, you want to turn on your speaker?
Hi there, Erica Carter, Director of Community-Based Services at Silver Key Senior Services.
Welcome. Kimberly?
Working on it. Kimberly Bryant, Namaste Alzheimer's Center here in Colorado Springs.
Welcome. Kathy?
Kathy Lowry, Teller Senior Coalition.
Wonderful. And I'm going to go back to Lauren, if you want to turn on your speaker and introduce yourself. Lauren may not be hearing us. Okay, Jenny. You want to introduce yourself? Oh, still connecting. Okay, well, welcome everyone, both our members and our guests. Happy to see you here this summer. We're going to begin with our agenda. If you'll take a look at the agenda and see if there are any needed changes, or if we want to accept it as is.
I move.
Oh, okay, Bill Bowles moved to accept the agenda. Marilyn Massey seconded that. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand online. Okay, any objections? Hearing and seeing none, we'll accept the agenda. And we have the minutes of our last meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? We have a hand raised. Jen?
I was just raising my hand to approve minutes, so.
Oh, okay. We've got a motion to approve the minutes by Jen. Is there a second? Joanne Ruth has seconded it. All in favor? Say aye or raise your hand online. Okay. Any opposed? Seeing and hearing none, we accept the minutes as written. Thank you. Okay. Now I lost my agenda. It's on the back side. Okay. All right. Are there any public comments? Did we get any, Melissa? Did anyone mail them in? Melissa is shaking her head. No. This may be a short meeting. I'm going to move on. Our provider Next Day Access, David Miner, is ill and is not able to do his presentation today. And Mountain Community Senior Services was not able to attend today. So we do not have a presentation. So we're just going to move on. Okay, Marilyn, membership.
Okay, hello, everyone. Not really anything to report on membership about, other than Rosemary Jaramillo and I had lunch together, or coffee, I should say, together a couple of weeks ago, and she has agreed to co-chair with me. And so I think together we're going to continue to try to work on membership, kind of meld ideas together on, recruitment and continuing to keep our membership active in what the RAC is about. So that's basically all I've got for today.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Marilyn. Jan in the Strategic Review Subcommittee.
Thanks, B. We've got a new document that Melissa Martz has been so gracious to work on that has been developed to help support the four-year plan and the blueprint for action. I've shared that. Let me see if there's a way for me to share my screen. And since it's disabled, but I can share that with the rest of you.
Go ahead and give it a try. I adjusted security. If not, I can pull it up for you.
Share screen. Let's see, let me share this. Should be able to see that document now.
There it is.
All right. So the document that we've been working on here kind of outlines the different areas that we are targeting from the Strategic Review Subcommittee in lines of legal and education, advocacy, collaboration, case management, and transportation. But we've been looking at the unmet needs of our contractors and trying to put together some ideas for the projects that we're working in the four-year plan. So you'll see here that it's a pretty extensive document. We've gotten a lot of feedback from our contractors, and we'd really love to see some participation from our RAC. So that next meeting will be scheduled in September. I did not get an invite out in August, and that is completely my fault. I had too much on my calendar to get something scheduled. So please be looking in your inbox for an invite in September, where we're going to go a little bit further deeper dive into this document to see where we're aligning with our 4-year plan and how we can make sure that the unmet needs are being considered in that 4-year planning stage as we look at different budgets and projects and things that are being put together by the RAC and our community, and how we align all of those things together from the RAC and our community projects. But we'd love to see your participation, and that meeting will come out for September, and then we will report back to our group in October. But that's what we've got going on in the SRS group. Is there any questions or anyone have any feedback for us?
I know that I've read it over, and it's very, very interesting. It looks like you're going to take that, take all those issues forward. I was going to mention under collaboration and education that both the RAC and the Commission on Aging were represented at the picnic up with Bill's group. So you can put that under activities to date.
Yay, I'll gladly do that. Thank you. Appreciate that. So yeah, just keep an eye out in your email and we'll get that invite sent out for you. That meeting will happen in September. It will be a virtual meeting. So if you have any travel issues or anything like that, we will continue to do that via virtually to meet everybody's needs. And we look forward to having your participation and input. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Jen.
Thanks, B.
That strategic review subcommittee is one of those places where you can really dig into the issues that you're concerned about related to services for seniors. So I welcome all members to attend, or as many as can. That'd be great. Okay, the AAA Director's Report is going to be delivered by Melissa today. Jody is on vacation.
That is right. Much needed vacation for Jody. So this is Melissa, and I'm the Program Development Administrator with the Pikes Peak Area Agency on Aging. And a couple of updates for you all. We are continuing to work to find an ombudsman. So our ombudsman team is still running short of a person, and it's been a little bit of a struggle to find the right fit and to make that kind of come together, but they are continuing to review applications. They've actually offered the position to 2 different people, and both times it was declined. So it's really been a struggle there, but hopefully soon we will have our ombudsman team full. And Kent has Kent with our family caregiver program. He has a new Master's in Social Work intern who just started with him this week. Her name is Darlene. We usually always have an intern in that program. And so we have our next one, and she'll be here for the whole year with us. And then we have a military fellow who is starting with us around September 17th. That person will be here just through December. So kind of short and sweet, fast and furious with us. This will be, I don't know how many military fellows we've had. Normally they stay within the operations kind of upstairs, but this military fellow specifically wanted to work with older adults. And so we're happy to have her. And I am the person who's kind of coordinating her activities and the things that she'll be doing, but it'll be kind of across the spectrum of the whole agency. And
do we have a name for her?
Her name is Jennifer.
Another Jennifer.
Yeah, Jennifer. And it's funny because I had Jennifer written on my calendar, and I thought it was our Jennifer, our caregiver staff person.
Right.
And I have to remember I need to start putting initials on there now to keep track of them. And then again, thank you to those of you guys who forward me your hours and your mileage for the month of things that you guys do. So when you can do that, that's great. If you haven't done anything over and above the meeting, of course, we just count the meeting. And so you're just fine. You don't have to send me anything. But if you are doing things, please, give me a quick response when I send that little reminder email out to people. We love to have those, track that in-kind support. And then we, again, are looking at funding that will be coming down as a result of kind of COVID and the American Recovery Program Act funding. We have some immediate funding that just finally is coming through around vaccine outreach and vaccine relief. And so that'll be interesting to see what we do around that. If anybody's interested and wants to engage with me a little bit more on that, you are welcome to reach out to me and talk to me about it. It's an interesting piece to think that we are still trying to figure out how to make sure everybody gets vaccinated, gets transportation if they need it, and kind of working on that whole problem. So we do have some funds to do some additional outreach there and also provide transportation too. And I think that is the gist of what Jody wanted me to share with you guys today. Does anybody have any questions, comments? Marilyn, if you turn on your microphone too, so we can hear you. It's a full-time. Yep, good question.
Do you anticipate any of that vaccine work related to the booster shots?
Haven't even thought about that, but probably so. Good point. Definitely. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to share any information about our get-togethers regarding underrepresented population?
Yeah, sure. So, as part of an effort to increase, again, membership on the RAC, the Commission on Aging, but also to get more older adults from diverse populations coming into our organization, we have our little monthly meeting that's kind of a real strategic conversation. But then prior to that meeting, we have started kind of a 30-minute little more personal conversation and discussion that usually we've only had 2 so far. I try to come up with a question or 2 for people to have an opportunity to talk a little bit about their own background, their own kind of experience with equity, inclusion, diversity. And again, a 30-minute little conversation. And it's been interesting. And we'd love to have everybody, anybody can join us for that 30-minute little lunch if you'd like. But you can also join us for the more, the working group meeting that happens from 1 to 2. And I apologize because I'm not really sure what day we're doing that, whether it's the 3rd Mondays or the 4th Mondays, because I have messed that up. And I also, because I was on vacation, so I had to kind of tweak that a little bit. And I also want to get with Marilyn, our membership chair, and make sure that Mondays might work for her because of the kids, her grandkiddos. So want to make sure that, because if it really isn't, then we need to change it. But it's like now her little grandkiddos are back in school. So, and so, yeah, so that's it. And potentially we will be doing outreach at the Indian powwow here in El Paso County in September. So stay tuned for that. Okay, comments, questions?
So Melissa, did you have a meeting or discussion, and who was present and anything?
Yeah, so we did. We did, and it was a small, the 30-minute luncheon talk was pretty small, and that's okay. And then the 1 o'clock meeting, we had the PPACG staff join us. And so Kent was here, Jennifer was here, the new intern in the caregiver planning or the caregiver program was here. And also our new admin out front, Dolly. She has a very diverse background herself. And so she actually joined the meeting at 1 o'clock, and we're hoping that she will be able to join the lunch meeting from 12:30 to 1 and also be a part of that 1 to 2 o'clock meeting and help us with some planning. But we'll be discussing that with her actual kind of supervisor people to see about her being able to be away from the front desk from 1 to 2. She did a great job on Monday. When she heard the door open, she'd just run out there and, go meet and greet anybody who came through the door. So she did a great job, but we'll have to kind of figure that out. So that's it.
Great. Yeah, no, I think that's moving forward very nicely. And so it's definitely an initiative we want to continue with. Okay, and in terms of my report, I thought I might get very practical just because I recently took a trip back to Minnesota to visit, to attend a high school class reunion. I'm not going to tell you about that, but I visited 2 brothers while I was back there. And I realized that myself and my 4 siblings were sort of a natural experiment in this whole notion of adjusting to, can we stay in our homes? We run in age from 75 to 82. And so we're all over time going to be facing this whole issue of, do we have the accommodations at home that allow us to stay there? In particular, I've looked at the issue of whether or not our homes are accessible, particularly related to stairs. So for example, my home and one of my brother's homes, we're all on the first floor. And so it's quite easy to get from the bedroom to the bathrooms to the kitchen, etc. And a couple years back when I had a broken ankle, I was able to ride that little scooter you kneel on, and I could get all around the house and was pretty mobile. But when I was back in Minnesota, my older brother has a tri-level home, and my sister-in-law had some operations on her foot and leg and so forth. And so for a short period of time, she was sort of delegated to the first level, which had a bathroom and a family room. And so what I was very interested in, they installed the chair lifts on, in those tri-level homes. They have short staircases, many of them. It seems like they're all over the place. But anyway, they installed the chair lifts, which was sort of fun for me to just give it a try, ride up one of those things that you discover how easy they are, just sit in the chair, press a little button, up you go. They have remote controls at either end. So if you're wanting to go up and the chair is down, you can press a remote control and bring that chair up to you. As I was talking about this with some friends, they said, yeah, but what if you're living alone? How would that work? Particularly, they use it also in terms of not only transporting themselves, but transporting things like groceries, up the stairs, put it on the little chair, let it go up the stairs. And I realized, well, if you're living alone and have a device like that, you could probably sit in the chair and hold one package of groceries and ride on up to the top and so forth. So I guess it's just sort of a looking at some of the accommodations that we might need, and checking out how they are working, if they're working as we age and need them. And I guess I was impressed by this, the chairlift, and how it's basically my older brother and his wife have decided they're going to stay in their home because now they have found a way to make it doable. So I just thought I'd share that share that story because in many ways, my brothers and sister and I are sort of a natural study of different ways we're going to have to adapt, as we need different technologies, different accommodations within our home. So I just thought I'd share that study. I don't know if anybody else has any comments or maybe an anecdote to share where you've made some accommodations in your own homes.
There. Oh, there. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This is Joanne Ruth who's going
Yeah,
to share.
Several years ago, I had a handyman come and put in railing in to go to my lower level, which is about in my yard, which is about 6 steps down. And at the time, I wasn't sure I needed that, but now I'm really, really glad I did earlier than what I thought I might need to. And the same is for a deck off of my back door. It's about 16 feet by 4 or 5 feet. And I have a railing put in the corner of that so that I can use it going either direction. It's open, there's no railing. It's just two steps down. But 2 steps are really scary for me right now. Having been ill, I don't have all the strength or the balance. I find that my balance isn't good and I am suddenly frightened of going down steps without hanging on. That's one of those things that I wasn't expecting. So I offer that just because it came all of a sudden. I don't know. I was surprised. Why was I surprised? I don't know. But it's just different. And so I would advocate for looking at this earlier than later, because you don't have time when it happens later.
Right. Thanks, Joe. Marilyn?
I would say the same thing for the handrail in the bathtub area, because I had that installed when I moved into my current place 9 years ago, and it seemed like, why do I need this? But I didn't realize how much I was using it until I was gone back in Massachusetts for the year, and I was in a regular apartment complex that didn't have a rail. And I discovered I had actually used that pretty consistently. And it was interesting for me to discover that I had become reliant on it.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm just fine being reliant on it because it's there if I need it. And just to add to what you're saying, looking ahead is important. And the reason I have a 1-level home with no steps and a garage that has no steps is because Wendy made sure when we bought my condo that it met all of the senior requirements.
Great. Thanks for sharing that, Marilyn.
I would like to add a detail here.
Sure.
There's a nonprofit in town called Vibrant Senior Care, and the woman who started it actually owned a home in the Mountain Shadows area that was burned down during the fire. And when she had it rebuilt with universal design. And she just recently put it up for sale. And the home has all kinds of accommodations for making the house easier to access and get around. It is a 2-story house, so going into the basement there isn't a lift, but the bathrooms, the kitchen have all kinds of really neat accommodations in there. And her realtor had said that she was kind of crazy to do that when she rebuilt the house. She and her realtor are good friends, but she said, no, I want to do this. I think it's important. And it was a bidding war over the house, of course, here in Colorado Springs. And the 3 parties who were all bidding on the house were all wanting to buy it because of the universal design elements that the house had. And none of them were old enough to really have to use them, but they were excited to know that they were going to be there when the time came. And that is what sold the house and actually increased the price of it and caused a bidding war. So
Interesting.
yes, yeah, kind of
Yeah.
exciting to see and hear that.
Right. Others, Bill?
Well, 4 years ago, when the wife was about to go, I put in a handicap ramp. She used it once. They used it to take her away in the ambulance. But I've used it many times, haul wood up the house and so on. It's so much handier than stairs.
Mhm. You know, isn't one of the things when I had my broken ankle and I had that little scooter that I was kneeling on, I still was not going to be able to go into the garage. There was one step that was going to stand in my way. So at the time, my son is a little creative, so he built me a little ramp that went from the first floor, just down that one step into the garage. And you think, well, that sounds like such a little accommodation. But I tell you,
Yes.
I told him that I wanted to be able to go into the garage and get my newspaper in the morning, which was thrown near my, the garage door by the back of my house. That made me feel independent, that I could go get that newspaper in the morning.
Exactly.
Well, then the other thing I realized is my washer and dryer are in the garage. So then I hooked a belt to my laundry basket so I could just pull my laundry basket behind me when I was on this little scooter.
Good job. Good job.
I'm a special educator. You always think, and what's another way to do this? Do you know that I kept the ramp because I like using it so much? And I still have that belt on my laundry basket in case I don't feel like lifting it up. I can just pull it through my house and back to my bedroom and, put my clothes away. So those are sort of self-made accommodations. Marilyn.
There was a period of time when I had some problems that like 15 years ago. And I bought a wagon because I couldn't lift the groceries to carry them into the house. So the store put them in the trunk for me and I was able to take them out because they packaged them correctly. And I just pulled the wagon into the house to the kitchen. And that worked fine. There's another thing about when you're reconstructing the configuration, the condo that we bought had a walkway into the kitchen because there was an eating bar. It was not wide enough for a wheelchair. So when we redesigned it, that is now large enough that when the time comes, should I need it, that's there. But looking ahead is very important.
It is.
The other thing that you reminded me that has escaped my immediate attention and I need to think about, and that is my whole upstairs is accessible except the bathroom door. I need to think about widening that door now, not later. Fortunately, this condo came with a wide door in the see that, but this I live in a 1960s home, which is not unusual. There are thousands of them.
Right.
I agree. You should do it now. Yeah, I should do that now.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
When we built our house, the whole main floor, all 3-foot doors, wide open. There's the bedroom, the bath, and the kitchen, and the living area. So I figured if I ever had to go upstairs, I might not have to go upstairs. I can do the living on that one floor. So planned ahead.
You planned ahead when you had built that home. Great. Other anecdotes or someone, or you want to add to the conversation? This has been fun to listen to.
Not quite what we normally do.
Right, it's a little departure from our normal conversation, but I think it makes it some of the things, when we talk about our service providers and so forth, those who put in the ramps and the bars and other accommodations, it makes it real because each of us, we're really facing these things. Marilyn?
No, I didn't have anything.
Okay. Anyone else online want to add to the conversation? Is there a resource maybe that you know about, you want to tell us about?
Well, I'll just say there's a seniors blue book because you guys are like the poster child for how to age well with all of your, I think ahead and let's widen the doorway now. Like everybody should be doing that because that's what it takes to successfully stay in your home. So anyway, it's been fun listening to you guys.
Great, thank you. All right, well, that's, we don't have any action items. Are there any other discussion items?
We've discussed.
We have discussed, haven't we? We have discussed. You know, even when I was at UNLV, just add something there regarding the universal design. They actually had a competition to design homes. Now they included elements of you know, adaptations to the environment, to those home design competitions, but then they added the universal design component as well. So that was sort of fun for a university to take on that kind of a project, have the architecture. Well, they combined, you know, people both from architecture and from other environmental studies, et cetera, to design these homes. And there actually is a national competition where they take that home to California, I think. They have to be able to transport it and so forth. So there are projects out there to try to, you know, improve upon the universal design component.
When I worked up north in Larimer County, one of the things that we did is someone from the Aging Commission had to sit on the builders board, and they actually made sure that any of the new builds and anybody applying for permits for redesigns had to keep in mind anything for accessibility on rebuilds and remodels in the homes. So it was something that was actually part of getting permits and things. So I thought that was a really interesting perspective that they kept in mind in Larimer County up north.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Be interesting to research our own counties and see whether that's a component.
I doubt it.
So I do know that at one point in time, our HBA, our Home Builders Association, actually had on their website names of contractors in our community who had received the additional training and endorsements for, I forget what it's called. With AARP, there's a certain type of, you know, kind of building criteria where you can actually get a certificate, and you have to kind of renew that every year to stay current. Dave Biner, who is with Next Day Access, who is going to present today, actually was one of the first individuals to get that certification. But as of a year ago, the HBA no longer had that link on their site. And I reached out to them and asked them, you know, why, if they could do more. I've never heard back from them because I thought that was, you know, that's a really great asset for our community, especially, you know, with, you know, wanting to support all of our older adults and keep them here in the region. And so I was a little disappointed that I never heard back from them, but it was out there before. Dave Biner did share that it wasn't necessarily a real, he didn't really get a return on his investment, so he did not continue to do the certification. But I also kind of feel like he was a little bit before his time, maybe. And the more we can encourage people to be aware of those types of resources, thinking about them, you know, maybe that can be something that would, you know, change in the next 3 to 5 years and would become a thing again. But who knows?
Melissa, is that something we should maybe put a sticky note in on SRS?
You bet. Yeah, I think that would be great if we had some additional people maybe checking in on that and asking about it and following up on it. It would be a great thing.
Particularly since we're supposed to be in AARP age I can't remember what the terminology is, but they gave us
Age friendly.
age-friendly, we have a certification that we are an age-friendly community, and that would add to it if we could continue.
That'd be wonderful to add to your work, Jen, within the committee.
And this is Joe, and I have
Could it be?
another, a long time thought. I mean, I have had it a long time ago, and it's kind of been brewing within me, but I don't see any change. And that is with the builders that we have in Colorado Springs. They are building age-friendly homes, but when you look at their designs, they have a large master suite and then a smaller bedroom for guests, quote unquote. And what I would need if I were going to live with my sister who lives here in town, we would want equal sized rooms with equal sized bath, so that neither one has to live in a small little room and the other one lives in this gorgeous big palace, so to speak, that's
Serious.
maybe almost larger than the rest of the condo or the house or whatever we're talking about. And the builders were not, I talked to several builders at that time, and that just wasn't a viable sellable point because, again, our community wasn't really ready for it at that time. But I think if we're really looking at habitability, of livability for seniors as we grow older and need more companionship and shared resources, how do you do that gracefully for two women who've always had their own homes? And you need your own space. Share a kitchen, yeah, you can organize that, and you could share a living space, but you need enough room to spread out so that the older sister doesn't get the suite and the younger sister gets the little room.
I own property, this is Maryland, I own property in a 55+ community in St. George, Utah. And we built it there. And several of the floor plans had 2 master bedrooms on opposite sides. So, and when I lived back east, they had those plans too. That was for roommate things back east. But in the 55+ community, it was so people would have their own space. So I like that idea.
But I don't know how many of I don't know what the current new building is like. And we have such a plethora of new building now. But it's all no, that's not all, of course, but much of it is for the higher income.
Or student housing.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like we need to be talking with the Builders Association, don't we?
Well, that brings up the point with Silver Key
Yes,
planning
that was mine.
to create this housing for seniors. I would recommend that that's a question they ask in the architectural designs, how that might work.
Wonderful.
That was going to be my question. that
Marilyn?
We
The
bring-
Marylands.
The Marylands, Marilyn
yes.
Bradish.
Yeah, that we bring Jason into this discussion, and with Silver Key's next move towards senior housing, to see who serves on the board for these special needs kinds of things. And I'm sure he's thought of these things, but it just brings it back to home that Jason and this plunge to rebuild senior housing, that these are things we need to think about.
Great ideas, great ideas. This could be a project all by itself, couldn't it? Just to address that, right? Yeah. Anyone else online want to add something?
Yeah, hi, it's Kathy Lowry from the Teller Senior Coalition.
Yes, Kathy.
I don't know, does the RAC know about Carol Parks and that she's had a recent fall? And
No.
she was in the hospital. I don't know if she's out now. I'm going to find out after this call. But I just wanted to let everybody know she is dealing with a pretty significant health issue right now.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for letting us know, Kathy. We'll reach out to her. Anyone else? Well, thanks for joining in on this discussion. I think it raises some issues about some involvement, I guess, that we could certainly be involved in, bringing about some change. Terrific. Okay, our next meeting is September 23rd. Once again, it'll be a hybrid meeting. Marilyn?
Is it the 23rd or the 30th? Because the 30th is the last Thursday of the month.
And we changed that. Yeah,
Oh, we did. That's a permanent change.
it's a permanent change to the fourth Thursday because we were always getting confused about.
I appreciate knowing that. You go away for a year and you come back and everything's different.
Yeah, it is.
For
It
the
is.
good, for the good, good changes.
No, I'm glad you asked that question though, because you're absolutely right. You know, we made the change a while back and so if you haven't been here, you're gonna, yeah. So it's,
After deserting for a year, we'll do it every time.
right, so that's going to be the fourth Thursday and it'll be a hybrid meeting so once again, in person and online. And I'm going to be out of town for that executive committee meeting, so I may have to change the date. I'll communicate with the executive committee on that one. Okay, any other announcements? Are there events coming up that we should be aware of?
Just again, keep an ear out for if we are going to be representing at the powwow in September. And then Senior Law Day is coming up at the Colorado Springs Senior Center. I believe it's September 18th. It's a Saturday. Lucy Crandall may know that, maybe not though, who knows? And it is in person, but also virtual. And if you want more information, you can contact me. I can get you in touch with Wendy Farr, who's one of the coordinators there. Because I don't know what the schedule looks like or anything, just a heads up that it's coming.
Do we need more people to represent at the powwow? I'd be interested in participating.
We would love that. I will definitely check back with you. Yeah.
Well, and I just heard that the Gazette is doing their big senior expo this year on October 30th. So just FYI for folks.
Yeah, I've seen that ads somewhere along the line. Any other events? Well, thank you again to everyone, both in person and online, for attending today. Sure appreciated your participation in that discussion. I think it can certainly lead to some action over time. And look forward to seeing you next month. So with that, I will adjourn our rec meeting this morning. Thank you again. Bye now.
Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.